our strongest commander challenged the tiny human guard. 10 seconds later, his weapon was broken and his career was over. I am not going to sugarcoat this. My name is Krell, and I work security on Galactic Council Station Epsilon 7. Notice I said work, not worked, because somehow, miraculously, I still have this job after what I am about to tell you. Mid-level security officer, that is me. Not important enough to make real decisions, but important enough to witness them going catastrophically wrong. Station Epsilon 7 is, and I am being generous here, the most boring posting in the entire Galactic Council network. We are talking about a place where the most exciting thing that happens on a typical day is someone from the aquarium delegation accidentally flooding a bathroom. Again, those tentacled idiots never remember that their homeworld's plumbing operates on different pressure systems. But I digress. My species, the Fourth Ends, we are basically the middle children of the galaxy. Not particularly strong, not particularly weak, not brilliant, not stupid. We exist in that sweet spot of mediocrity that makes us perfect for security work because nobody finds us threatening enough to complain about. Our skin is a sort of grayish blue. We have 4 arms, which sounds impressive until you realize 2 of them are mostly useless for anything except holding data pads. And we stand about 7 feet tall. Intimidating at first glance, forgettable at second. The day everything changed started like every other day. Boring. Soul-crushingly, mind-numbingly boring. I was standing at Checkpoint 7, scanning identification chips, watching species from across the galaxy shuffle past me with the jorsey of a funeral procession. My partner, Lieutenant Voss, was beside me, doing that thing he does where he clicks his mandibles rhythmically when he is bored. Click, click, click. I swear to the void, I was about 3 clicks away from stunning him with my pulse blaster when the human delegation arrived. Now, I had heard of humans. Everyone had. They were the new species on the block, just figured out faster-than-light travel about 15 cycles ago, and they were making noise about joining the Galactic Council. Most of the established species found this hilarious. Humans came from a planet called Earth, which, according to preliminary surveys, was classified as a Class 9 death world. But here's the thing. Humans did not look like they came from a death world. They looked soft, fragile, like someone sneezed too hard near them and they would crumble. The delegation walked through my checkpoint and I processed them one by one. Ambassador Chin, their leader, was a short male with graying hair and little crinkles around his eyes that I later learned meant he smiled a lot. His security team came next. Standard stuff. Then she walked through. Maya Rodriguez, according to her credentials. Human female, diplomatic security operative, authorized to carry weapons. She was maybe 5.5 feet tall, which made her short even by human standards, with dark hair pulled back in what they call a ponytail and dark eyes that did not miss a single detail of the checkpoint. She moved like water, smooth and controlled. Something about the way she carried herself made my secondary arms twitch nervously. But Commander Task, or rather was the head of station security, saw something completely different. Task was a Caribbean, which meant he stood about 9 feet tall, muscles on his muscles, skin like polished obsidian, and an ego the size of a small moon. Caribbeans are strong, stupidly strong. They come from a high-gravity world, not quite as extreme as a death world, but enough that they consider themselves the premier warrior species in the sector. Task had been station commander for 6 cycles, and he had spent every single one of those cycles making sure everyone knew how incredibly important and powerful he was. When the human delegation passed, Task was holding court with his elite guard, a bunch of hand-picked officers from various warrior species who spent more time polishing their armor than actually doing security work. I heard him laugh, that deep, booming sound that echoed off the station walls. "Look at them," he said, not even bothering to lower his voice. "The mighty humans. I have seen Caribbean children more intimidating." His guards laughed, of course. They always laughed at Task's jokes, even when they weren't funny, which was most of the time. Voss clicked his mandibles next to me. "Commander seems to be in a good mood," he muttered. "Commander is an idiot," I replied, quietly making sure my voice did not carry. "Did you see how that human female moved? That was not normal." She's tiny, Voss said, shrugging his primary shoulders. What is she going to do, bite his ankles? I wish I could say I defended the humans in that moment. I wish I could say I recognized the danger. But I did not. I just watched as Commander Task made the worst decision of his entire military career, and I did absolutely nothing to stop it. Commander Task decided, in his infinite wisdom, that the human delegation needed to understand the pecking order on Station Epsilon 7. He stood up from his ridiculous throne-like chair, honestly, who approved that furniture budget, and walked directly into the path of the departing humans. Ambassador Chin stopped, his expression polite but wary. Maya Rodriguez stepped slightly forward, positioning herself between Task and the ambassador. Professional, textbook protection detail positioning, I noticed. Task apparently did not. Ambassador Chin, Task said, his voice dripping with false courtesy. Welcome to Station Epsilon 7. I trust you understand that security here is of paramount importance. We maintain the highest standards. He paused, looking down at Maya with what I can only describe as theatrical condescension. I notice your security team is rather, how shall I say this, compact. Are you certain they are adequately trained for potential threats? Oh no, no. I felt my stomach drop. Well, the fourth and equivalent of a stomach. Voss stopped clicking his mandibles. Even he could sense where this was going. Ambassador Chin smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. I assure you, Commander, our security personnel are more than capable. Maya here has been with the diplomatic corps for 8 years. She has handled situations on 17 different worlds. 17 worlds, Task repeated, as if he were tasting the words and finding them blandly impressive. Tell me, Operative Rodriguez, what is the gravity on your Earth? Maya's expression did not change. 9.8 meters per second squared, Commander. Standard Earth gravity. Task laughed, actually laughed. 9.8. How quaint. My homeworld operates at 15.2. We are forged in conditions your species could barely survive, and yet here you stand, entrusted with protecting your ambassador in a station that houses some of the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. Here I stand, Maya agreed, her voice level, almost bored. That should have been Task's first warning. When someone stays that calm when being insulted, they either have nothing to prove or everything to prove. Maya fell into the former category. But Task was on a roll. His elite guard had gathered around and a small crowd was forming. Station personnel, delegates from other species, even a few maintenance workers stopped to watch. Task lived for an audience. Perhaps, he said, drawing out the word as if he were savoring expensive wine, a small demonstration would be appropriate, just to ensure that Council security standards are being met. Purely routine, you understand. What kind of demonstration? Ambassador Chin asked, and I could hear the edge in his voice now. The other humans in the delegation had shifted subtly, but were ready for trouble. Task gestured and one of his guards brought forward a device I recognized immediately. A gravity net projector. My secondary arms actually twitched in alarm. Let me explain something about gravity nets. They're probably the most effective non-lethal restraint device ever created. The technology was designed by the origin species, those floating jellyfish-looking scientists, to exist in zero gravity, and parents, and it works by creating a localized gravity field that expands outward in a net-like pattern. Once it touches a target, it wraps around them and increases the gravity field to roughly 3 times standard galactic measure. Everything caught in the net becomes too heavy to move. Limbs stop working. Most species black out from the pressure, and creatures with all their strength and high gravity adaptation can't break free once they're caught. Nobody escapes a gravity net. Nobody. It's physics. You can't punch physics. The simple test, Task announced to the growing crowd. I will deploy a gravity net. If Operative Rodriguez can avoid being restrained, I will personally apologize and acknowledge the competence of the human security force. If she cannot, well, perhaps Earth should reconsider the qualifications for their diplomatic protection teams. Some species looked uncomfortable. The Aquarian delegate, a decent fellow named Bloop, actually his name translated to something with 12 syllables, but everyone called him Bloop, started to object, but his aide pulled him back. Maya looked at Ambassador Chin. The ambassador's jaw clenched, and for a moment I thought he would refuse. Then Maya spoke, so quietly that only those of us close by could hear her. "It is fine, sir. Let him have his demonstration." She started, but she shook her head. "Trust me, sir. This will be educational." She stepped forward into the open space that the crowd had naturally formed. She rolled her shoulders, casual, like she was warming up for a morning jog, and looked up at Task with an expression I later realized was pure predatory assessment. She was measuring him, calculating. Task smirked, holding up the gravity net projector. "Whenever you're ready, Operative Rodriguez, please try to make this interesting." Voss leaned toward me. "This is wrong," he whispered. "Krell, this is really wrong. We should stop this." "We are mid-level security," I whispered back. "What are we supposed to do? Tell the station commander to stand down in front